911, what is the address of your emergency?
You've seen the stories.
There's no alarm in the house. They just had flu-like symptoms.
Everybody in the house could have been dead.
People still can have permanent brain damage.
Do we take turns being the judge? I can't.
In Manti, the Cox family narrowly escaped becoming a story.
I heard him, and it sounded like he'd thud on the floor.
Last winter, Carrie Lynn and her husband Dallas awoke to the sound of their 14-year-old son Corbin collapsing in the kitchen after throwing up. He felt sick the night before, so she told him to lie down. Then Dallas struggled to wake his daughter upstairs for school. She told him she felt strange.
You know, Dad, I must just be really tired. And I said, what do you mean you're really tired? She goes, I keep waking up on the floor.
They never imagined they were being poisoned. You see, the family's detectors had expired. The alarm didn't work. It never went off.
We probably didn't have much longer to stay in the house before we would have been close to dead.
Years before, another story. Ogden police were investigating the death of a young man at this home. Sergeant Art Wheeloff was inside.
I was talking to one of the other officers and started to talk on my radio and then went unconscious.
The sergeant survived, but he and 2 other police officers were diagnosed with carbon monoxide poisoning. A faulty water heater was spewing the poison.
It was extremely scary for myself and for my family.
There were no detectors in the home, and almost losing those officers pushed Ogden Fire Chief Mike Matthew to act.
I was trying to take advantage of the tragedies in other parts of the country rather than wait for our own.
Had a very high danger.
It was a decade ago when Matthew pushed for Ogden city leaders to require CO detectors in all homes and apartments. State building codes took care of the problem for homes and apartments built after 2004, but 90% of Ogdens were built before that. So naturally, Matthew thought a new ordinance would save lives. Makes sense? Well, these minutes show not everyone agreed. The Realtors and Apartment Owners Association fought it. A representative of both told the council it simply makes more sense to have the person that resides in the premise to be primarily responsible. The representative wanted the city to let landlords off the hook.
It lacks common sense. It's very difficult to enforce such a confusing principle of saying you as the occupant need to provide the carbon monoxide detector, but you as the occupant can ask your landlord for the smoke detector.
The fire chief won that round. Ogden passed the proposal, but the Apartment Association didn't give up. Round 2, they took the fight to Capitol Hill.
House Bill 402, enforcement of carbon monoxide detector requirement.
This time,
Voting will be open on HB.
the landlords won. Legislators took away a city's ability to require building owners to install CO detectors, overruling Ogden's ordinance. If you rent, you need to bring along a CO detector. It's not your landlord's responsibility. At the time, lawmakers applauded themselves.
Senator Kilpack, I would just insert that I think this is a responsible thing to do, and it also puts the onus on the person that should be responsible for it. So I commend you and the sponsor.
To this day, the Apartment Association stands by it too, because
we think the occupants being responsible is the way to go.
Utah Apartment Association Executive Director Paul Smith.
The owner's not there. The occupant can disable them. They can remove them.
According to their own website, the association doesn't want cities or even health departments to require landlords to fix up older properties with CO detectors. Why?
In 2009, we were in the middle of the Great Recession. And when a city requires an ordinance that might impose additional costs per unit, we thought that was just the worst time to have a city imposing additional costs.
When someone important enough dies in the state of Utah, the law here will change, just like it did in Colorado, just like it did in many other parts of this country.
All right, newsflash. It is not 2009 anymore. Rents have gone up. We called half a dozen lawmakers who were in the legislature at the time to see if reversing the law is at all possible. Democrat Mark Wheatley from Salt Lake City said, you know what? He's going to file a bill and try to get that law rescinded.
You know, it's not just the tenants either. I mean, we're talking about first responders who are at risk here.
Absolutely. If the CO detector isn't in a rental property, how are they going to know why somebody is passed out? And they put themselves at risk. You're absolutely right, Mike.
Yeah. All right, Debbie.